So now let's focus on today's topic, and that is artificial intelligence and its importance in language and translation. What is artificial intelligence? I mean, it's very important to understand. I will not give you technical definition, but I will give you a very practical definition in a simple way that technology, especially the software, the virtual world, has moved from being static to dynamic, and from dynamic to intuitive. Now, what is static, what is dynamic, and what is intuitive? Static is, something like, we used to have HTML web page. Let's say generally one used to have 10-20 pages in a website, and each page used to have some information. At that phase of time, whatever I used to publish, as the owner of the website, you would read that. Maximum was you could send a feedback, and it could get published only when the owner has okayed it. That is what is a static website, and it was HTML. Very useful, and still that is in place. But then after, there came a PHP based codes that allowed interaction between two, and that is what is called dynamic website. Dynamic website is like Facebook, or other similar social media platforms that allows you also to talk to each other or talk to the website. So one side there is information, another side you are empowered to create your own content there, and it becomes a kind of platform where you express yourself and allow others also to comment and express themselves. So it becomes a two-way communication between a website and you. So this is what is called dynamic. From only information to web content or content creation, and giving more dynamism by instantly giving you power to write and then interact with your friends instantly through chat or through video chat also. This was dynamism. But later on, after all these things was developed, the technical people, software experts, they also developed code. They started developing codes to even understand your interest. Understand your interest. What is that understanding interest? How they understand it? They understand it by reading your pattern of activities on that particular website. For example, on Google, how many times you visit Google search engine, what are the keywords that you use, how deep you go, how many pages you scroll through. All these things are traced by those people who have created that platform. Similarly, Facebook also does the same thing. Similarly, now LinkedIn and others also do the same thing, bearing their expertise in this area. These people track every movement of yours, every click that you make. It is not done manually. It is done dynamically by the codes which is embedded in their websites, that reads millions of messages in a fraction of second. So that opportunity of understanding your activities allows these platform owners to understand who you are, what are your interests, what is your age, uh, what kind of words you generally use, when you are happy, what you do, when you are angry, what you do, what kind of mental orientation or political orientation you have, sexual orientation as well. So every word that you use and every minute or every second that we spend on these social media platforms or dynamic websites which has high capabilities of understanding and analyzing your data, it gave them opportunity to understand you. So once people start understanding you, they know today what you are going to do, and based on that it becomes intuitive. They do intuition कि आज ये बंदा इतना समय तो देगा जरूर. And many times if you now go to Google and write Gmail, if you have received a message, and when you start writing something, many times even Google Gmail gives you option to simply click and complete your sentence, because it is giving you many times those words which you want to write, including hi, including the name of the person, how are you today, how was the message. Many times when you forget to attach some documents, they prompt you that it seems you have forgotten, right? They know which time you read more of your messages, which time you are relaxing, which time you are more serious, or which time you are more cozy with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Even those kind of things they understand. So it's like अगर आप देखें in common man's term में, तो they are based on your pattern of thoughts and activities. They start showing you only those things which you like, and you are engrossed too much in that it many times it becomes very addictive. And this addiction is what is making them billionaires. You are devoting more time there, you are devoting more of energy there, and they are making money out of that because they have got empowered by understanding you, your thought process, your pattern of activities, and certainly your timeline. Many times we devote 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours, 5 hours on that particular platform, and every time you get only those things which you like. So such kind of thing is very good for these platforms, and it is very destructive also. How it is destructive? They can misuse it, and many times they have done it by creating public opinion against a person, including the presidential elections at USA, or similar elections in different parts of the world. Similarly, by understanding this is what is called social media content analysis. If you do lots of analysis manually, it is not possible, but there are lots of good software that does analysis about sentiments, which is called sentiment analysis on social media. And based of those sentiment analysis, there are big investors, companies, they understand the market sentiments on that particular moment, and based on that sentiment they enter and exit from the market and make billions and millions of money in a fraction of a second. So this kind of technology, can you imagine if somebody has control on that? Certainly he or she becomes a sort of god, and this is what is called black magic, कि आप खींचे चले जाते हैं उसके पीछे, खींचे चले जाते हैं. क्या होता है ब्लैक मैजिक में? यही होता है ना कि आपके ऊपर किसी ने जादू किया और आप सब कुछ भूल गए और उसमें लगे रहे. By the time you realize that you have been robbed of your time and energy, you are robbed already. And उसके बाद इतना ही नहीं, आप फिर से दोबारा आते हैं, लौटते हैं, सवेरे उठते के साथ फेसबुक पे चले जाते हैं, यूट्यूब पे चले जाते हैं, व्हाट्सएप पे चले जाते हैं. ये क्या है? ब्लैक मैजिक है जो आपको छोड़ता नहीं और आप उसमें लगे रहते हैं. कैलकुलेट कीजिएगा अगर आप टाइम को अपने, जिंदगी का खास के in the recent years 5-10 years में we spend at least 2-3 hours there. So my only contention is I'm not telling you not to do that, but what you gain out of it, that is very important to understand. So now, in this particular background of static to dynamic and dynamic to intuitive, I will now come back to a concept called artificial intelligence. What is this artificial intelligence? Especially in languages. There is a concept called natural language processing, NLP. In 2012, I recall, I had been to Copenhagen Business School and did my course on artificial intelligence. This is called eye tracker, translog. This is called, it is being developed by Copenhagen Business School. They have, their language department, natural language processing department that does this. And what they do, they try, this is in this natural language processing, they try to create a tool for you so that your translation capabilities or language understanding capabilities or reading capabilities increases. So I recall when I was doing that course, I learned that they have developed software. What they do, if I am doing translation and that software is installed on my computer, and because of certain region I get stuck up at a particular word for a fraction of a second, instantly that particular software in the right side starts giving you meaning of that particular word through various contexts, so that you quickly read it, understand the meaning of it, and you move on. So even if that particular software has increased your efficiency by 10% or 20%, it is a big success. Similarly, in natural language processing, there are three things that is very important to understand. One is, they developed a concept called machine translation tool. I recall in India, it took a big lead, when CDAC, the supercomputing technology institution developed by Vijay Bhatkar. He's the one who created supercomputer when Rajiv Gandhi, cried foul on our capabilities in computer, and when he brought in revolution called computer revolution in 1980s after Indira Gandhi's death. At that phase of time, India developed a supercomputer which was very powerful, which is now less powerful than even a mobile phone. And using that, we reached Chandrama on moon, and did lots of satellite activities. At that phase of time, there is a scientist, his name is called Dr. Hemant Darbari. He developed a machine tool called Mantra, and which was deployed in Parliament in 1981. Because of his innovation and his activities, his name is written in golden words at a very well-known museum of the world in USA called Smithsonian Museum. And I'm fortunate that I visited that museum. I have seen his name there in a placard about one of the most modern innovators in machine translation tool. So India has this capability since 1981 or before that, and that mantra is still applied in Parliament, that does translation from English to Hindi. This is called machine translation. I'm telling you, there is no memory involved, and it is based on grammar structure of Panini. Panini was a grammarian from India in the medieval period, and he has done great work in Sanskrit. And based on his structure of most of these machine translation tool work. Google also learned from this structure only to do translations. And after this, Google slowly developed into, Trados also came into picture in 2001 or 2000, around circa. From machine translation, the memory tools were developed. Machine translation is one aspect. When you feed in lots of sentence pattern bilingual, and based on those sentence pattern, these people, this machine It gives you output for those part for which there is no translation available. Accuracy level can be from 20% to 40%, 50% maximum in machine translation. But then it was time consuming, so innovators, they started thinking what to do. So they started, creating memory tools. Memory tools are those tools in translation that gives you opportunity to create memory. For example, I have 10 pages in Spanish, I translate it into English, and I feed all these sentences, bilingual one, in Excel sheet. लेफ्ट में हमने स्पेनिश लिखा, राइट में हमने इंग्लिश लिखा. फीड करने के बाद हमने अपने मेमोरी में डाल दिया उसको. Let's say after a few days I get another similar 10 pages and मेरा मेमोरी जो है मैंने उसको रिसाइकिल किया उसके अंदर. मैंने कहा कि भाई my computer, tell me how much memory I have on this particular document. So my memory computer tells me that 70% of your new document has its own translation ready. So now you have to only work for 30%. That way, what happens? Additional 10 pages gets translated within half of the time that were consumed earlier. And that way you keep on growing your efficiency. It works like your passive brain. This is again, another point of what is called natural language processing. But then after they said, we have the machine translation, we have the memory also. Why not we also create a hybrid one? So Google, introduced the hybrid technology. It had its own memory from authentic sources, and then it started giving memory machine translation for those parts for which you don't have the memory already. But there is a speciality in that. It's not like they does machine ke tarah kar diya kuch bhi. Now they apply their own analytic to even ensure that they do not translate those words which are not translatable, or those expressions which has poetic meanings, because it is very difficult to understand a literature, especially the poetic ones which has sarcasm, which has variety of thought processes, and it is very difficult to understand a human mind. So when that start happening, that is what is called deployment of artificial intelligence in language technology. So nowadays, apart from machine translation, memory translation, and hybrid, now the artificial intelligence does the intuitive one, that even they start reading your thought process and they come out with some solutions, and those solutions prompt you to do variety of activities. This artificial intelligence now is deployed at websites. When you don't need frontline customer cares now. You just go to your for example, if you go to my website, I have deployed little bit of it. If you go to my website, modelingwa.com, there you will find someone waiting for you and prompts you, hey, hi, how are you? Have you visited my Modelingwa channel? And you respond, yes, I have. Many times you respond, no, I don't have visited there. What is it? It is artificial intelligence deployed there. If I had more knowledge on that, I could have even deployed the next level. If you say no, I will prompt you with another request, that if you have not done so, koi baat nahi, give it a try. If you have done so, if you say yes, I will say, okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Hope to be in touch. This kind of message is the very basic of artificial intelligence. Similarly, so you don't need a frontline customer now, it is done by computer automatically. Google has given you, this particular option in app. You can talk to Cortania. There are variety of bots that come into picture that helps you understand the basic information. That kind of things, when we start doing it, it is what is called artificial intelligence. Similarly, I recall even in 2012 की बात कर रहा हूँ, Copenhagen had no drivers in the metros. It was driverless. Why? Because it was being controlled by the artificial intelligence software that does less errors than humans. Human can do lots of errors, but computers don't. And that's how the driverless train worked quite smoothly in Copenhagen in 2012. Now, even in India, this experiment has been done. Last year, I visited Dubai. There, I met a lady, virtual lady called Sophia. आप उससे बात कीजिएगा. She will talk to you in a very normal tone like a lady. And if you crack some joke, she even tells you, "आप मजाक मत कीजिए, please." So such kind of activities, and she has been even granted citizenship by Dubai government as well as Saudi Arab government. So now the machines have come up. Similarly, आप अपने this wrist में install कर लीजिए, एक injection दे दीजिए, and that injection gets installed in your, and it works like a passport of yours. आपने swipe किया अपने हाथ को, and your credit card, debit card, your train का जो ticket होता है, card, pass, metro pass, everything is stored in that particular point as an injection. Nowadays, even the chips are being developed which can be inserted in your brain. Hard disk में जैसे हम आप अपने मोबाइल फोन में एक चिप लगाते हैं ना, छोटा सा SD कार्ड, वैसा ही एक छोटा सा कार्ड आपके ब्रेन में घुस जाएगा, and your memory can boost, memory booster का काम करेगा. Similarly, there are technologies that has come up जो आप अपने चश्मा में आपने लगा रखा है, ये स्पेक्ट में आपने इसको इंस्टॉल किया अपने अंदर में, you scan through a person, and that specs give you all details about that person, including his age, उसका प्रोफाइल, उसके पास कितना कार है, उसका क्रिमिनल रिकॉर्ड क्या है, everything. This is the future, that is coming already, and this is all artificial intelligence. Now imagine कीजिए आप driverless trucks आने लगी हैं, तो क्या होगा? Variety of problems will come up, in terms of unemployment. ढाबा बंद हो जाएंगे, पेट्रोल पंप्स जो हैं उस पे लोगों की कमी हो जाएगी, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ेगा. बट सिमिलरली जो कंटेंट क्रिएशन हो रहा है इन सब के लिए, हु इज डूइंग इट? कंप्यूटर्स. एंड उस सब के अंदर व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ द लैंग्वेज? इफ यू वांट टू गो लोकल, the codes, instructions, everything will be done in that particular language. Similarly, if you want to go international, everything has to be done in that particular language, international language. And it's not that you have to localize those content. Suppose if content has been prepared for India, you cannot bring pictures of Africa and market your product in India. You have to make use of Indian pictures and photographs, as well as the senses, the feeling, look and feel जिसको बोलते हैं. UX design के बारे में पढ़िएगा, आपको समझ में आएगा what I am telling you. Because look and feel is very important. If you are not able to give look and feel in a better way, you will not be able to do success on that particular software. So such kind of importance we have come up, we have in waiting, and in all these activities that I have told you, whether it is memory tool, whether it is hybrid tool, whether it is translation technology of machine, whether it is an intuitive one, everywhere the language play important role. Either now there is a concept called post editing. Machine does the translation, and you as a domain expert, without being a bilingual, you can be single unilingual only, but you are expert in a domain, you can co-create the content, that particular content which has been machine translated. Similarly, memory तो आ ही गया, hybrid आ ही गया, intuitive आ ही गया. So now everywhere, अगर आप opportunities के ख्याल से देखेंगे, at one place these machines are replacing translators, but and at another place they are creating new waves of opportunities for bilinguals and unilinguals and domain experts. So that's how, the role of artificial intelligence comes into picture. This I have given you, in crux, my understanding of artificial intelligence, technology, and natural language processing. But when we are doing webinar, our expert, Deep Saxena, who is an engineer plus who is expert in artificial intelligence, especially the natural language processing, he will give a talk on the importance of natural language processing and artificial intelligence. Also, for your preparation, if you go to Modeling War website, we have had one full-fledged webinar last year on CAT tools and machine translation tools, in which representative of CDAC Noida, Dr. VN Sukla, had come and given his lecture, and also our Professor Goswami, who was expert in this area, had also given lecture, although he is no more, but perhaps it was one of his last talks on the importance of translation technology as well as CAT tools, and what natural language processing can do. There are some more videos as well as content available on our website modelingwar.com. Please explore them, and based on my discussion today and based on those videos available to you, do your Google, do your research, and give me 3 names by tomorrow morning, so that we start preparing for our webinar and learn from each other and go ahead with that. Any questions, please welcome. Payal. Anyone available for any questions?
Yes, sir.
Boliye.
Sir, yeah, it's okay. We have Google Translate, and we also have some free TM and Tradus also. So how I see in the Tradus or any other Google translation, so these are supporting more for the as far as quality perspective is concerned, they are more supporting for the European languages. But when it comes to the Indian languages like Hindi or Bengali, their memory is very less and giving low quality in compared to compared to European languages.
Right.
So yeah. So is there any plan from our Modelingwa or ITA to improve our own platform to engage our people using such kind of tool? So my own intention, I'm also working on that direction, but I'm getting confused from where to start. Like, for example, NLP, you told NLP. So NLP just start from the scratch, storing millions of words and getting it to translated, and another algorithm comes with the predicates and the verbs and how to combine with the other modes of speech. So similarly, we do not have such platform that can become natural in its sense. So is there any plan to come on to it?
See, this particular topic, is very, very important for the fact that the concept that we are talking, about natural language processing, artificial intelligence, etc. Google has done lots of efforts in this direction. I recall in 2005 when Microsoft introduced its Hindi version of MS Office.
Yeah,
I was its advisor at that stage of time, and it's MS Office was launched in our conference in 2005 of Indian Translator Association first conference.
okay.
and it was even the event was sponsored by Microsoft. If you Google, you will get some details about that particular conference. At that phase of time, they were not even aware, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Similarly, even Google was not aware what they were doing. What Google was doing was, Google had developed this platform, and it was getting input from all sources, including wrong translations.
Mhm.
So what happened? Uh, Google did lots of efforts, and even Microsoft has its own version. Even IBM had developed its own. So all these were learning and developing each other and competing with each other. Microsoft did quite well later on, but Google got into a big trouble because their translation memory, this capability tool, was not developing at all. Instead of improving, they started giving wrong translations. So finally, they have to, kind of stop the program and then bring changes in their algorithm, and then they were able to later on improve upon, because then they started only targeting authentic sources for gathering data, collecting data. Earlier they were collecting every trace that was available. So
Okay.
once they started collecting data from authentic sources, and they had put some check points, they have developed quite well in terms of European languages, including Spanish, French, German. No, earlier 30-40%, now they at times they give you 80 to 90% accuracy.
Yes.
Unfortunately for Indian languages, they had problem because of fonts. There was no Unicode at that phase of time. Every language has its own fonts, and it
Yes.
was not universalized. So there was one association that came into picture. They started developing Unicode fonts, and then compliance from all software companies came into picture. And then once this Unicode is in place, now these softwares have even started gathering data from Hindi or Tamil, Telugu, etc., all popular languages, and they have improved. But because of variety of internal problems, and India being a multilingual country, it's not working like European Union, where everything is translated into 25 languages. So they don't have one unique point from where they can gather authentic data. So they have to rely upon variety of sources, and it's very difficult to identify which one is a good source and which was is a bad source. Even the Bhasa Vibhag of India, government of India, has not been able to formulate proper policy on that. However, recently Supreme Court of India has given directives to the government of India, Ministry of Information Technology. Luckily, I am part of that consortium with IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi, IIT Patna, etc. And they are developing, a machine tool for doing translation of legal text from English to Hindi, and then from there it will be done into variety of other languages. But it is still in its nascent stage. Can you imagine? When we are working through Google, Google has its wings across the globe, and millions of billions of people contribute to its data collection. Whereas when we are talking about proprietary company, or when we are talking about a government run institution, they are not in a position to even do efforts of 1% of Google. So directly or indirectly, we have to depend on Google's capability. And then from there, now that Google is allowing lots of plugins.
Yeah.
Similarly, Amazon has also its AWS. It is also giving you opportunity to do translations from speech to text and from text to speech. Even the voiceover things are being done into speech, into text. So these are all combinations that is taking place currently. And this is the time when one should enter into this area and can do wonders. We are in a very transitory stage of a new phase of life. Thereby we will be sitting at our own place and have lots of information in front of us through this artificial intelligence.
Right, sir.
Efforts are on, Manjit. I hope even you never know, from our interns or somebody who are in our contact can move ahead and do more specialization in this area
Mhm.
and do wonders. I mean, uh, explore it. You never know, opportunities can come. As a
Yeah.
linguist, you can, I believe, do wonders. It's not that only software people will do this thing. Software people can do only coding, but it is linguists who are the users. Can empower them or give instructions to them from a user's perspective to make it more viable for common use. So that's how it is.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू मंजीत. कोई और क्वेश्चन है किसी का, मित्रों? Anyone else, please? Payal, are you there?
So one more question I have.
बोलिए.
So in term of chatbot, so do we have as an organization, have you received any opportunity to train the chatbot in
Yes, I
term of?
have. I have not trained, but I have tried to explore and use chatbot. Uh,
Okay.
there are templates that you can customize to your own use.
Yeah.
If you Google, you will find some chat box that gives you templates, and there are certain questionnaires. There are certain permutation combinations. Based on that,
Yeah.
the chatbot gives you responses. So
Yes.
that is the
Yes.
very basic level of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
The more will be when uh, they can even answer absurd questions.
Mm. Mm.
That kind of thing is also in the process, and I just hope we will be able to use it very efficiently. One
Yeah.
has to be a smart user.
Yeah. So the reason for the asking this question. So when we are as a ITA member, when we are creating our brochure, so we can include to train the chatbot as a linguist. So I have received one work from the Thought AI, uh, American organization. So in Portuguese, they wanted to train the chatbot. So I work on that project. That was the purchase order, related to the purchase order. One client wants to know a status of his purchase order or products, when product will be getting delivered. So that type of chatbot I trained, because I had experience in the P2P procurement processes. So I trained that. So then it stuck in my mind, why don't we start marketing on this on the
That
bigger
that we will
platform?
that is another topic, Manjit.
Yeah.
Currently, we are talking about day after tomorrow's webinar, and please allow our interns also to come forward, because it is they
Yeah.
who will be making presentations. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure, sir.
ओके माय फ्रेंड्स, जो इंटर्न्स ने आप लोगों को कुछ आइडिया हुआ क्या है हमने किया है? अगर अंग्रेजी में आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है तो हिंदी में भी बोल सकते हैं. If you have, I hope you have been able to understand what we want to do, and where we are placing ourselves. So those people who are interested in making presentation on the topic called use of AI in language and translation, please come forward and give your name to Payal by tomorrow. Let's say around 11 a.m. Will that be fine? And prepare. And it's not that we will help you to prepare yourself also. It's not that that आपको ऐसे ही छोड़ देंगे. It will be hand holding activity. We will work as a team. I will be there. Payal will be there. Nikita will be there, and our expert Deep Saxena will be there. And of course, I have already given you some video link hints. All these people will be there, and it is a good topic. Later on you can build on and do your masters in AI, or UX design, etc., or sentiment analysis, or intuitive designs. These are all new areas for linguists, which you can explore always. I mean, common man बन के अगर जिएगा तो common man की तरह रहिएगा. You have to be doing some extraordinary activities. I just hope our interns will understand this. And that's all for today, my friends. If you don't have any questions, we'll meet day after tomorrow, and we'll discuss more through WhatsApp on this topic, and try to bring your friends also to the webinar, and it will be good enriching experience for everybody. Okay, thank you, my friends. Take care, and bye bye for today.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.